Hey, I'm Mark,
And I'm Craig.
and this is Songwriter's Tales.
Today, we are starting off our new segment called the Artist Spotlight. Tell us about our first guest, Mark.
Oh, this is really cool for me. An old buddy of mine, Rick Needham, good singer in his own right, has a son named Jake Needham, and Jake is going to be our inaugural artist in our Artist Spotlight, and I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. Don't want to miss it.
Let's do it.
And we're back. We are back with our Artist Spotlight inaugural episode. Mark, I'm going to let you introduce this young man because you know who he is.
I do know who he is. Please welcome special guest Jake Needham. Jake is the son of a really good old friend of mine, and I told Jake off the air, and I'll go ahead and say it on the air. I told Jake, you're a way better singer than your dad, so I hope he watches this. No, but I love Rick. I've known Rick for a long time, and it is really kind of surreal for me to be talking to Rick's son, 30 years later. And it's a pleasure to have you on, young man. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's kind of get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me on. It's literally, I feel really blessed to be able to do the first episode and do this with you guys. It's just really cool. And I mean, so my dad hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I sent that cover song to a buddy of mine named Mark, and he really liked it. And I think he wants you to reach out to him and try to get on a podcast." And I was like, "All right, yeah, I'm going to reach out. This sounds really cool." And he started telling me about how y'all have known each other and throughout all the years and all this. And I was like, "Man, this is really cool." I was like, I know I've known some of the people like my dad knows, but I was like, "Man, this guy sounds really cool, Dad. Why haven't you told me about him before?" I was like, "This is gonna be really neat." So, but anyways, yeah. So y'all made that connection, was really cool, and now like I'm sitting here with you, like you said, now you're doing it with Ricky Needham Jr. essentially.
Well, I tell you how crazy it is, and you can call it a God thing, you can call it whatever thing you want. Craig and I were talking, and I said, we've got to get some artists on here. I want to really start doing that because that's a passion. I mean, it's a passion of mine. It's been and I mean, about 5 minutes after I had that conversation with Craig, I got the text from your dad saying, "Hey, Merry Christmas, brother." And then he said, "Hey, listen to Jake's Jake's latest cut." And I was like, "Okay, I can take a hint, God."
That's cool.
And no, and I did, and I had heard some of your stuff before, so I knew you were a great singer, but I hadn't heard that obviously, and so it's really cool. It's really cool that you're here, and tell us about your songwriting journey. Tell us about your artist journey. I want to hear kind of where it all started, where it's headed.
Yeah, so gosh, I mean, I've been doing stuff like, I guess if you call it just like forming the passion or understanding the gift that I had, from a young age, as far as just riding to school and getting to school on the bus and sitting down in the gym and beating pens and pencils on the gym floor and like freestyle rapping with people and stuff. So it was like, I started kind of formulating that, and that kind of really brought out, I guess, a lyrical side of me that I didn't really know that I had. And, just from singing and stuff, like as a young child, like being in the car with my mom and, listening to "You Should Let It Burn," like singing Usher with her in the car and stuff. And it just kind of snowballed. And I didn't really do anything with it. Like I would piddle with guitar and stuff like in high school and all that. And then I graduated, I guess, gosh, in 2011. God, I feel old, but I'm really not that old, but gosh, it goes by so quick. And so I was living up in Coleman, Alabama, and I guess I was about 20, and there was a church that I was going to, and I was going through a really like changing period of time in my life per se. And I was playing guitar, and there was a guy there, and he heard me playing guitar, and it's like singing some worship music. And he was just like, he came up to me, sat down. He's like, "Dude, why don't you like actually try to do this as a career?" He was like, "You're killer." And I was like,
Nice.
Oh, dude, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I'm that great, but I was like, who knows? Maybe so. And so, sure enough, in 2014, my dad was running for Shelby County Sheriff, and that's where the area of town that they live in. And there was a guy there named Gene Rowley, and Gene did this radio show in the area, and I met him through my dad. And Gene was like, "Well, dude, you should just come over. I have a recording studio. Like, I'll record your song for you." And I wrote this song called "Forever Girl." Anyways, did it with Gene. We released it. It did really well. For some reason it picked up a lot of like traction in South Florida. So I was like, hey, this is cool. Like maybe this is kind of a sign like I need to be doing this. So continue to do stuff. And then I guess it was like maybe a year later, if that, I was looking online in Birmingham, Alabama, where I was living at that time, and was scrolling through some musicians forums. And there was a guy that I came across, and I was like, James Cody. I was like, oh man, that's like, this dude looks like he's younger. He's not like, 60 years old trying to like, start a band. Like he looks like he's got like, he has that drive to him. So I reached out to him. I sent him some of the stuff that I had. James was like, yeah, man, like let's get together. Let's work. Let's do some stuff. So went over to his house. We started, just running music. And it was weird because the first time he actually came over to my place, we wrote a song called Draw Me In with a riff that he had. And it was kind of essentially about being addicted to a woman, and she was like your nicotine. That was like the draw of her was just, it sucked you in. So we wrote that, and then we started pumping out all this stuff. We did like a whole, like, I guess it was 12-song album essentially. And it was kind of just more of the development stage. Then it went to, we met this guy that was friends with actually my aunt from Birmingham. They went to like high school or something together. He started playing bass, found a drummer, and all of a sudden this started rolling. And then it was 2017. We literally had just gotten a record deal offer from Spectrum Music Group to release an album that we had wrote called Procrastinated Memoirs. The band was called the Blue Trees. So we were like, heck yeah, like
I think
let's
that's
do
what
it.
I heard. Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
Okay. Yeah. And so then that's kind of was that since we had played a show on New Year's Eve in 2016. And of course, my dad was there. We were drinking beers. He was like, y'all just need to move to freaking Nashville. Just do it. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I think my mom was there actually too, which she lives in Louisiana. So I was kind of like, both my parents were telling me to take this chance, like, talk to James about it because he was kind of my partner in crime. So he was like, I'm down, dude. Like, there's nothing here in Birmingham. And we moved. So then that's when everything started going, and we really started rolling as a band, started playing a lot, getting some really good opportunities. And of course, COVID hit, and then things just kind of spun out. But I guess that's kind of what put me on track for the love and, understanding that relationship with music that I have now and today. And I think that this next chapter that I'm going in has really prepared me for it just because I've been able to learn so much about like my true style and what I like to make. And it was, I was rock, rap. And now it's kind of come back all around to the times where I was sitting in the car with my dad and my dad was playing Johnny Cash or Merle Haggard. And I'm like, man, I was like, that's songwriting. I was like, that really is. And it's like songwriting now has just lost its taste to the younger generations. And so it's like, that's really what I feel firmly in is really trying to write stuff that is people can feel and people can relate to. And I really like to try to come from a place of vulnerability because I have been through a lot with my life to be able to share like hope and, allow people just to feel it because it's like nobody, I mean, at some points and it's like, and I'm not ragging on pop country, but it's like whenever you turn on the radio and you hear, I'm drinking a beer with Susie, it's like, at what point are you just like, I don't want to like, give me something with substance. Like
not drinking a beer with Susie.
Yeah. Like I'm tired of hearing that. Or I'm going to the local bonfire. Like, I mean, it's like give people something that's going to bring them some hope or at least give them something to connect to. And I feel like that's something that old country music did so well was just paint those pictures.
I think that's coming back though, because I was telling Craig about this song I heard yesterday and I couldn't remember the name of it. Now I do. It's called Happily Ever After You. and it's this husband and wife duo. Mackenzie Porter is the girl. I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but it is it's a duet, and but it is real and it is raw and it is one of the best. It starts off, the chorus starts off, I've got a hole in my heart the size of Texas, and I think you left it.
Yeah,
But I mean, it is a killer song. But it harkens back to exactly what you were just talking about. Songwriting is coming back,
yeah,
and it is, it's a breakup song, but they both acknowledging that
mm-hmm.
they're surviving, but they're not happily ever after because after after their partner. But it is so good, and I'm so glad to hear someone your age talking about songwriting again, because I miss it.
Yeah, and it's
We
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Craig.
well, I was just gonna say, Jake, we had Rex Benson on on one of our shows here, and he's a publisher out in Los Angeles who's written songs with Garth Brooks and had Kenny Rogers hits, had a bunch of different hits. And we just had that conversation about what's coming back around. Mark and I first met each other back in the 90s when there were some great songs, coming out. Alan Jackson had just come on the scene. George Strait had just got Garth Brooks.
Randy Travis,
Tim McGraw.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And so, that's just how the cycle of music goes. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So do you remember what you're going to say?
Yes. So basically it's just like, my dad was really hard on me coming from a songwriting background, and my mother too. I mean, she was a singer out in LA. That's how they originally met. So my mom sings like freaking Tina Turner mixed with like, I don't even know. She's an incredible vocalist. And anyway, so I guess they just created like musician hybrid, like freak children, in the sense of like what all my siblings are, like every single one of them. It's kind of mind boggling just to see the talent in every one of my siblings, and I'm very proud of them. But it kind of just goes back to like my dad. It was like, I remember when I was growing up, I would write a song when I first started writing, and I'd bring it to my dad, and my dad would kind of be hard on me about it. Essentially, it was almost like I was looking for that approval, like, Dad, I just want you to say hell yeah, this is the best song I've ever heard. But instead my dad would be like, honestly, like, you could say this in a different way. And I remember one thing that my dad used to always tell me is Hank Williams would say everything there is to be said in a song, but how can you say it differently? And I was like, I started thinking about that. And when I write music, it's like, you got to come at it from a point and a perspective to where it's like, how can I relay something to somebody that's unique and different and not
Right
just
on.
so simplistic? And I think that's something my father really challenged me with, and it's really grew me as a songwriter.